Today we're here in Loma Alta creating a KOCT special in this neighborhood, which is near and dear to my heart, the Loma Alta neighborhood of Oceanside. And we're here with one of its oldest residents, Meralyn Boster, who's lived here since 1930. Hi, Meralyn. This house was built in 1927, and that predated a lot of the houses that I thought were up here in Loma Alta. I thought the earliest house in Loma Alta was 1928, so you kind of blew that myth for me.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Tell us a little bit about the property and the house and how it got here.
Well, this place started in 1927. They bought the property in 26, paid $900 for an acre and 3/4. Third house out here. It was bean fields, I think, from what they said. I wasn't here then. All the roads were dirt, of course. All my growing up years, we had cows and chickens, and some of the neighbors had horses. You know, we lived in the country. I can't find the permit, and I had it, but I can't find it. It cost $1 building permit to start building.
Nice.
They built a garage, and they were going to just live in it for a year or so and then build a house out to the front of the property. And then the Depression came on, and they were lucky to have a garage to live in or anything. And so little by little it got added onto and rearranged and added onto this door. The door itself is not original, but the opening is. If you see some of the early pictures, you will see the door into the garage. The front of the house was right here along where the steps are. And then in '39 they added the 2 rooms on the front. By that time they'd added onto the back. You know, it's been added on to the side.
This has kind of grown.
It's just grown,
Yeah.
and it's a nice house. It's an old place, but you know, it's been rearranged considerably. In fact, as a little girl, we had a dormitory bedroom across the back. Brother slept in that corner, my folks, me, my sister in this corner.
Wow, that's cool.
And an outhouse.
An outhouse, because you had an outhouse, but you didn't have sewer.
No, Dad had a septic tank built. That might be interesting to you. Had a man come and dig the hole, but we sit on concrete. I mean, it's just solid. So he hired somebody in town who knew how to use dynamite and went down and set the dynamite to blast it loose. Only the dynamite didn't go off.
Really?
The man says, well, I've got to go back down and do something. And my dad says, no, you're not going back down in there. You know, they waited a day or so to make sure it wasn't going to explode unexpectedly.
Did they end up blasting?
Yeah, they had to. It was just, it's just...
That's incredible.
Such hard ground out here.
You know, I've been collecting archival documents and photographs of the area for a long time, and I wanted to kind of share some of those photos with you and have you tell us a little bit about them. This is one from shortly after the turn of the century of the Rosicrucian Fellowship, and I wanted you to see if you could tell us a little bit about that, because I know that's kind of a place of mystery for a lot of folks. What do you know about that place?
Well, I know as a kid we loved to go over there and ride our bicycles, because there were no cars. I mean, they had cars, but you know, there were no traffic at all. And down from, it doesn't show on this, but down from the temple down into the main part was a winding concrete pathway that was just great to ride your bicycle on. The people kind of lived in little apartment type places, and they had a cafeteria in the main building. And they had a bell that they rang before dinner, before breakfast, before lunch. The dinner one rang at 4:45, and that was the signal to my family, the kids, that it's time to come home. If you're out playing on the fields, why, dinner's going to be on the table pretty quick.
That bell's still there.
That bell's still there.
The bell's still there, and the cafeteria's still there.
Yeah,
That's
I think
pretty
so.
amazing property.
Yeah.
And they still put up the Christmas tree at Christmas time.
I looked forward to that every year, because it's the only Christmas lights we had out here.
Yeah.
Our little dogs love to go over there. I don't know why, because they are vegetarians, but they treated her well. So anyhow, we kids really liked it. It was a nice place, you know, to hang around, and they were real good about it. Just wanted us to be careful and not run over somebody walking up that path.
This is a photograph taken in the early 60s of Buddy Todd Park, and this is the water tank here, and Mesa Drive is in that shot. Wasn't a lot in that photograph.
No, no. Actually, they called it the Ellery Tract in those days because Mr. Ellery was the man that owned it and subdivided it. Then during World War II, Buddy Todd was the first young man from Oceanside to be killed, and so they named it after him. His father had been a policeman, and I don't know the circumstances, but was killed or died young, and so his mother had the 4 kids to raise, and I think they created a job for her. She was the first matron at the police station. He gave, Mr. Ellery gave the property for the reservoir in what is now Buddy Todd Park. Hired my dad to water the trees. You could see it from here, which you can't now with all the houses and the trees, but my brother and sister would go up and play, and my mom could keep her eye on them.
If we look really closely on here, we can actually see that your house is in here on Mesa, and some of the trees we kind of pointed out there. I think if we put a magnifying glass on there, we can probably see this place where we are today.
I can remember our bus got stuck in the mud on Canyon one time.
Wow.
Our school bus, and they had to come and get us. That was fun for us, but I
Yeah.
don't think the bus driver liked it too much, but
Because Canyon was dirt.
it was
and
dirt.
mud.
Everything was dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about that now.
Mesa Drive was only paved to start with to Pajama Place, and
That's amazing.
that's where the pavement started or stopped, and right at the base of the, you know about where Carolyn Circle is, was a dairy. Then a little farther out was this house where the caretakers for the reservoir lived, and at night those were the only 2 lights that you saw.
Oh, wow. How cool is
Yeah,
that?
yeah. You
That's
look out
amazing.
there now and it looks like big city time.
Yeah.
2
yeah.
lights.
Wow. So we had talked about the Loma Alta Neighborhood Association, and that was a group that started in 1949 up here and really was very powerful and politically powerful in Oceanside. Had a lot to do with Oceanside politics from the 40s through the 60s into the 70s, into the 60s when they ended in 63. And you were part of that group as the first secretary.
Yes.
So that's pretty amazing.
Dr. Ackley was retired and he needed something to do. He had no children to leave his money to, and so he wanted to organize this community. And so there were about 4 or 5, well, at the time I thought old gentlemen who got together, and they needed somebody to take minutes, and I was working as a secretary to the principal of the high school, so they asked me to come to their meetings, I guess once a month. I don't even remember how often, and took the meetings for the first couple of years.
Wow.
Took the
How old were you
minutes.
then?
How old was I
just
then? About 20.
You were 20?
21.
And then this too is what we talked about, is that's kind of a famous photo for Oceanside anyway, of it's the groundbreaking for the Loma Alta Association. The Loma Alta group had a clubhouse here on Mesa Drive, not far from here.
Yeah.
And this photograph has become kind of famous locally here because that's the groundbreaking for the Loma Alta Club. And then some of the other things that we talked about was you being the secretary. This is something that's kind of fun. I found this in my archival stuff, and that's from '53, I think.
Yes, yes.
And so, that might have been something that you typed.
It might have. It
You
might
might have
have.
typed that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. But I wanted to make you an honorary member with this card, which you probably had one of those along the way. Yes, you probably did. And I don't know if you were involved in all this stuff, but they put the bylaws together, and I don't know if that came over your desk or if you were involved.
No,
in
in 1955, I watched what the teachers would. I watched those teachers come through, and they had 3 months off in the summer, and they made more money than I did, and I decided I should go back to school and get a teaching credential. So I wasn't involved with this at that time.
Nice. So you went back and you got your degree from
Yeah.
Oceanside Carlsbad Junior College, and then on from there?
Well, no,
And you
I
went
did
to-
that before I went to work.
Oh,
I graduated from there in 1950.
okay.
Then in 55, went to state,
To
got my degree in
San Diego State.
San Diego State.
Wow. So
Yeah.
an Aztec.
And yeah.
Wow, that's pretty neat.
And started teaching at Chula Vista High in 1958.
You have some photographs there. Did you want to walk through a few of those and just kind of tell us what's going on in some of those pictures?
I was going to show you the one that maybe showed the door to the house. My
So
brother and
that's that
sister and
door
I
right
stand.
there.
That's that door right there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that
And
was.
that's you right there.
Yeah, I'm the little one there.
Yeah, and there's that 47 Chevy in the background.
27.
Oh,
no,
excuse-
37. 37. Yeah, let's get our.
thanks. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this one too I think is interesting, and we're going to talk about that because that tree is still here and it's
Right. Tree is still here.
rather large.
It was planted probably the mid 40s. Well, it had to be because I was in high school. I would have been a freshman, so about 44. That picture of the tree and me, we were both
That's-
real thin looking there. We both grown a lot.
Yeah, well, you're both.
That
you're both still here.
a lot of people think that the olive tree out there is older,
Mhm.
but it's not. This was planted first and then the olive tree.
This is an elm tree?
It's called Chinese elm.
Chinese elm. Okay. I
What
like
you
the
would-
one of you on a cow.
Like me, I said I was a cow girl.
This one's pretty amazing.
Because I would just put the rope around her neck and she was staked out or down for the day to eat in an area, vacant area, lots of vacant land around here then.
Right.
And so by evening you'd bring them home and I'd just get on her and she'd just walk me home.
That's so cool. Is this mesa right here then?
That is, yes, on
so
that
this
picture.
is just looking east?
It's just looking east,
looking out
right,
the front door.
which shows
There's not a lot there.
that there's not a lot there. No.
Certainly none of those houses.
There was a real low spot on this northern side, and we did get rain back in those days, and almost every winter there would be pollywogs out in that puddle that stayed long enough to.
This is a great shot. So we got a couple of dogs, 4 dogs.
Oh, yeah, well.
And who are these folks?
Well, that's my sister,
Uh-huh.
my dad, and me.
Oh, nice.
And we've got the dogs and the calves and the cat,
And that's that Chevy again.
and there's that Chevy again.
37.
Yeah,
Is that right? 37?
that was 37 Chevy.
That's a beautiful car and beautiful animal. So you got what are these? These are cows.
Yeah, they
going
were
on
they were twins,
Oh.
and so they don't show up very well there. But
Yeah.
yeah, until I was in junior in high school, we had cows. I don't remember when we got rid of the chickens.
Wow. Here's more cows than you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and that shows the vacant property across the street.
Yeah, this is a cool shot because you can really just, it's like looking off into the prairie. And that's you.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that took place up here. And just briefly, you had mentioned that during the war there was some changes. And when Camp Pendleton came in, that was one of the times that the terrain changed.
Yeah, Pendleton made a big difference. And the Mission Avenue, when you started down the grade, you went down just a little ways, and then it wound back, followed the lay of the land, so to speak. And they were bringing big trucks and, Marines and tanks and things through there. So they straightened it out. And we spent a lot of time watching those big earth moving.
Pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah, for us kids, and we never seen anything like it. We were a hick town, 2,500 people before Pendleton got here.
Unless you had anything else that you want to talk about, we'll kind of move to the outside.
Okay.
Well, this is such a beautiful yard, Meralyn. And when I drive by on Mesa, I always have admired this place. And it's so wonderful to finally be here and be able to come and talk and meet. And I wanted to sort of walk over and take a look at the elm tree, the Chinese elm that you'd mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I know we have a photograph of you with the Chinese elm. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to sort of talk about that and maybe recreate that photograph that was taken when you were 14.
Well, if you saw some of those early pictures, there were no trees out in here, and they planted that about 1944.
Wow.
I've got the picture of that little spindly tree and little spindly me.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's such a beautiful tree.
It's a beautiful tree.
Now, what about this guy? When was this planted?
It was planted after the elm tree.
Okay.
Everybody looks at that trunk and thinks it must be older, but it isn't.
So somewhere in the maybe early 50s?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 1950, early 50s.
It's a beautiful tree,
Right,
too.
it is.
They both just frame this yard so beautifully.
They do. My folks had good eye for things.
They really did. Let's go check out the backyard.
All right. You'll be interested in the garage. The basic structure is from Camp Callan. Have you ever heard of Camp Callan?
No.
At the top of Torrey Pines during the World War II, they had an army base there called Camp Callan. And
Okay.
when they tore it down, Dad went down and they were selling the stuff off and bought the parts, and they put them on a truck and brought it up here and
Really?
made the
So that garage is from Camp Callan,
right.
and that was at Torrey Pines.
Right.
That's amazing.
Top of Torrey Pines.
Now, what about the weather vane? Was that from there too, in the cupola?
No. My folks and I were back east, and we picked that up in New Hampshire or someplace. And
It's really
we should
nice.
have put a chicken, but we liked horses, even though if we didn't have one.
It's a great one. I love weather vanes, so that's a really pretty one.
In fact, it just got fixed because the horse fell off a while back.
Nice. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. So, do you want to tell me a little bit about the property, and we'll just
Well,
talk
I'll tell you
about?
the catio.
Yeah, the catio. Tell us
Catio.
about that.
Well, it's just so the kitties can be safe.
Nice.
That's the latest add-on.
It's really
The house is
nice.
A lot of add-ons.
Yeah. So you just had this built on.
Yeah,
The-
Mark just built that for me.
It's really clean. I like the catio.
Come out the window and
Keeps them
be
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
the
cool.
coyote was right up at my window.
Yeah, he wanted to get in that catio.
There's not a lot to say about what's out here. It's like everything else has changed a lot. Little old building we're coming to soon. My sister said was the oldest building next to the house.
Right?
It was a woodshed. It was a chicken coop. Right now it's my laundry.
It's really nice. It's a cute little building.
Yeah, and then next to it was Dad's workshop.
What's in there now?
Oh, a lot of tools and paint cans and.
Dude, look how pretty the back porch is. I love this little window set here. That's really unusual.
Well, the original idea was that when it got really hot, you could swing those in and hook them up at the top and you
Right.
could get air straight into the house. But again, it's one of those things that you don't do.
Right. It's cool though.
Yeah,
And they have a little tint to them.
yeah. Well, I'm not too sure, but I think maybe a little bit.
It's really nice.
So-
Okay. I mean, is that your property back there?
No, the fence is the line.
Okay.
But here used to be the cow pen. That's where
Okay.
the cows were. And along the back of this is wide enough to be a full one-car garage. It runs the full length of this. My folks never threw anything away.
Wow. That's very cool.
I've been trying.
It's a great piece of property. So this over here that says your workshop and your laundry,
Yeah.
and you still got the clothesline?
Still got the clothesline. It
Uh-huh.
used to go add on down to here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I love it.
A lot of people don't have those.
That's great. Yeah, we grew up with clotheslines.
Cut off some areas so I don't have to deal with them.
Right. So you just let it go a little wild back there.
Then off back behind that's the pet cemetery.
The pet cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had lots of pets.
Lots of animals in there. Nice. Aw.
4 or 5 cats, 4 or 5 dogs.
Yeah. That's great. I noticed when we came down the walk and where I'm standing right now, I have a little bit of an ocean view too. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
just high enough.
Used to be able to, but with the trees and everything that's grown.
Yeah, I can see the ocean from here. I think if you were 6 inches, let's see, 6 inches taller, yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, it's a great view.
We put the fence in, and I say this, my brother, sister, and I together. I dug all the post holes.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Nicely done.
Yeah, and then they set them and added on them.
It's a lot of work, especially when this ground's hard as cement.
Didn't do it on one week.
You couldn't use dynamite.
No. Took a while, but I got it done.
All right. Well, I think
That's the grand tour.
that's the grand tour. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.